You've had such a memorable career. A lot of people consider you to be one of the most powerful men, if not the most powerful man in football. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a godfather of football figure?
No, I don't. I don't get into fall into these traps of, how would you put it, praise. You know, I think that you try and keep your feet in the ground. I think that's important. For instance, for the last, a few weeks ago, I kept trying to play down all the great hyperbole about Manchester United being untouchables, they've been this, they've been that, the next thing, and I'm trying to play it down, try to dampen it, and I know what football is like. 1 minute, the next minute, or the next day, you're going to get kicked in the teeth, you know, and that's football. And here we've lost 2 games. Now we're not untouchables. We're the worst team ever in the history of Manchester United. So you've got to try and balance things out.
You've been here for so long and you've been managing at the top. You've won it all. What keeps you motivated every morning when you get up? What are you thinking to keep yourself at the top?
The kind of club that Manchester United is. It's a great club to work for. And also the expectation drives you, and you can't afford to be complacent at any time. You know, I think that when you do get complacent at this club, then your results will be different. So I don't have any complacency. I still work as hard as I did when I first came to the club. I'm with the right club, and I enjoy the expectation. I enjoy the challenge of having to be number one or try to be number one.
Is that what you thrive under, the pressure to keep living up to expectations and exceed them?
Yeah, I think that we respond to the prospect of failure. You know, I think I respond to it well, and I think that this club over the years has done that quite well too.
How much longer do you want to stay at Old Trafford, and when do you know is the right time to turn your back on it all?
Well, there's several things will come into it. My health will be very important. You know, I'm 67 now, so therefore you hope your health you retain your health, and in that way then I can still enjoy my job. If that were different, I would quit immediately.
But do you still think there's something else I want to do? A lot of people talk about the record of league titles that belongs to Liverpool, and after Manchester United overtake that, you'd say, okay, I'm done.
No, that wouldn't come into it at all. Definitely not come into it. If there was one challenge, I would love the club to win more European trophies than they have done. And I think I made this point quite a few times over the years. I don't think we've won the number we should have won. There have been years where we were unlucky, there were years where we were disappointed, there are years when we've thrown games away, and that's sort of gives you a kaleidoscope of what football's like, really, in a way. So therefore, if we could just win a couple more European trophies, then we'd definitely quit.
You say that like it's something easy to do. A
no,
couple of other European cups.
Well, you see how difficult it's been.
I know.
I've been in about four, 5 semi-finals or something like that, and quarter-finals, and we've only won it twice in my time in 23 years. So that tells you how difficult it is.
When you do go, it'll be incredibly difficult for whoever comes here. What kind of manager do you think can succeed you?
Well, I think that obviously I'm glad it's not my decision, but you know that I think you need someone with experience here, because it's a big club now. It's a massive club. When I came here, I was 40. I think it was 46. I think it was when I came here, 40. Yeah, about 45, 46, something like that. And therefore, I had the energy and I had some experience at Aberdeen, of course. I had 8.5 good years there, so that was the kind of foundation I needed to go to such a big club. But when Manchester United, I came here, it was nothing like it was today. You know, nothing then. You say yourself, could we think we could get to where we are now? And I remember Bobby Charlton and I going to Barcelona to see Mark Hughes playing for Barcelona. We were keen to take him back. And Bobby says, this is what we should be, you know, Barcelona. And I said, why aren't we? He says, I have no idea. Because you think about these days that when maybe you watch Barcelona or some of the Italian teams play and a player gets injured, and 3 or 4 assistants are running out to look after the injured player, masseurs, doctors, physios, and British clubs were operating with one physio, you know, not even a masseur, no masseur. You know, in fact, when I go back to when I first came here, Archie Knox and I used to do the massages. You think about the change in this club nowadays. Now we have 3 masseurs, we've now 5 physios, doctors, optometrists, podiatricians, nutritionists, weight trainers, fitness coaches. We've got an incredible staff now, which allows us and helps us to maintain the kind of standards we're after now.
You know how hype works here in the UK, especially when it comes to football, and how much people talk about Manchester United, the present, the future. People have spoken recently about the possibility of Jose Mourinho maybe coming here. How do you see him as a manager, and do you think he would fit in here?
Well, obviously, I mean, I made a point, I would have to be an experienced manager who came to Manchester United. I like Jose, I think he's a good guy, and we've gone very well together. But as I said, I don't know what the club thinks about who the next manager is going to be, but fortunately, hopefully it's not for another 2 or 3 years, because I intend to stay on as long as that. And then, you know, the funny thing about football then is how the game changes. I remember some years ago, there was 3 or 4 potential managers to go and better and do things well in the game. And they've all lost their jobs, they're not in the game, you know? And that what it tells you really is our jobs are very, very fragile. 1 minute we're talking about, just earlier on, they're at the very top of the world, and a few defeats you're useless, and you're forgotten about, and you're pushed away into the backwaters of life, never seen again. And there's so many young managers who I remember coming into the game and done really well to begin with. No, not to be seen now. Now 3 years ahead, maybe 2, 3 years ahead, I don't know what's going to happen in this world. I have absolutely no idea. So for me to think about where Jose Mourinho is going to be, or Arsene Wenger is going to be, or whoever, it'd be impossible, because their careers can take directions and turns which would surprise you.
Whoever comes in will have to command respect. You do that and have always done. Do you think that players fear you a little bit as well, and is that important?
Well, I think that maybe, you know, maybe they've a great respect for me, obviously, because of my age and things like that, and how long I've been here.
Not only because of that.
Maybe sometimes they maybe fear me a little bit. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I lose my temper. I'm quite angry.
What about that famous hair dryer treatment, Sir Alex?
Yeah,
is it true? And what is it?
I think it was Mark Hughes that started that one, you know, and obviously I think it was the type of person, if when someone argued back with me, I confronted him and I would go directly towards him, you see. So this is where that came about. But I mean, if you think of I've had all these. You see, what you've got to deal with when you are successful is myth. You know, myth is a thing that grows in you because you're successful, and the longer you're in the game and the more successful you are, there's more myth about you. You know, to the point that it's hard to handle sometimes, because I remember a guy writing an article saying, I used to go behind the stand that he's still in a practice screaming, you know. And I says to the club lawyer, I says, how could they get off with that? And he laughed. He said, do you mean to say you would go to court on that? You know, to take action on someone in court because they said you were screaming? I said, no, but I think it's ridiculous. He just laughed and walked away. So myth you have to deal with in a certain way that you can laugh at it. I cry sometimes at some of the stuff that's said, and you just sometimes, most of the time, you just shake your head because there's nothing you can do about it.
When you do go, it'll be incredibly difficult for whoever comes here. What kind of manager do you think can succeed you?
Well, I think that obviously I'm glad it's not my decision, but you know that I think you need someone with experience here, because it's a big club now. It's a massive club. When I came here, I was 40. I think it was 46. I think it was when I came here, 40. Yeah, about 45, 46, something like that. And therefore, I had the energy and I had some experience at Aberdeen, of course. I had 8.5 good years there, so that was the kind of foundation I needed to go to such a big club. But when Manchester United, I came here, it was nothing like it was today. You know, nothing then. You say yourself, could we think we could get to where we are now? And I remember Bobby Charlton and I going to Barcelona to see Mark Hughes playing for Barcelona. We were keen to take him back. And Bobby says, this is what we should be